ladies and gentlemen, indeed, I am honored to call on stage Pujya Sadhvi Bhagwati Saraswati Ji to give the keynote address. Please put your hands together.
It's a really wonderful honor and joy to be here today. And I have to say, in all of my years of having the wonderful opportunity to share with so many different audiences of so many different areas and specialties and different streams of life, this is the first time I've had the opportunity to address a hall full of people dedicated to the printing industry. And so I thought this was a beautiful quote. As I come originally from America, I thought, let's have a bridge between the countries to begin with the power of printing and the power of what you all do. So I'm very, very happy to be here. I'm very honored to be here. And it's really wonderful to be together with you all, and especially on this theme of attributes of success. Because of course, that's the big thing. That's what everybody wants. At Parmarth Niketan in Rishikesh, where I live, every day, every hour of every day, जो आते हैं, उनका एक ही प्रार्थना है कि किसी तरह से I should be successful, or किसी तरह से my child should be successful. Whatever it is, but that's the prayer. नीचे झुक के प्रणाम किया, बस किसी तरह से वो पूज्य स्वामी जी के पास जाते हैं आशीर्वाद लेने के लिए. For what? For success. It's what everybody wants. And how do we define success? We define it typically by wealth, power, and prestige. Now, it actually could simply be defined as wealth because power and prestige both come from wealth. The one who has the money is the one who has the power. The one who has the money is the one who has the prestige. And this is actually quite sad because in our culture, in Indian culture, it wasn't always like that. It was not always a culture that was focused on giving the prestige, giving the respect, giving the love, giving the veneration to the richest people in the village or the community. Traditionally, actually, that respect was given to the wise ones of the community. But over the last few decades, it's become the one in the village, the one in the community who has the most money. He is the one who has the most power and the most prestige. So that has become, sadly, our definition now of success, is this wealth with power and prestige. Now, of course, you all, as printers, have the opportunity to change your values of success, meaning, okay, so what you did, what the market says, what the accounts say isn't necessarily right. Okay, let's have it in a different color, a different font. But on a serious note, what we're seeing is every single teacher, every coach, every leader, everybody has got a model of success. To give it to you as quickly, 7 days to success, 3 days to success, 37 minutes to success. If I open my spam folder in email, it is filled with pretty much nothing but click here to more success, click here to more success, buy that, you'll be successful. Come here for 2 hours, you'll be successful. Everybody is marketing success, even in a bottle. And it's become something where we have put it literally into this tiny framework of success means have a lot of money, have a nice house, get a good degree or a good title from the right university, have your kids in the right school, wear the right clothes, get invited to the right parties, own the right things. This is success. But it's not. And this is what I want to share with you, because I come from that world. As the beautiful MC was saying in the beginning, I was born in America. I spent the first 25 years of my life there. And I had really the very best that that world has to offer in terms of opportunity, in terms of education. I graduated from Stanford University and had so much of that opportunity. And what I saw in the people I was surrounded by is it was a world full of everyone who had everything except actual contentment, except actually what it is that we want all the money for, which is so that finally I can be happy. If I just become CEO, then finally I'll be happy. If I just finally make this much money, then I'll be happy. If we become number one, then I'll be happy. And I was surrounded by a world of people who had all of that, but who actually weren't happy. And after I had been in India, that's a different story of how I came. I won't share that here. But after I had been here for about a year, maybe a year and a half, I was back in Los Angeles where my parents live. And I'm a scientist by nature. I'm a scientist by academic history. And I love science. So I thought, let me do a scientific study, because what I've seen in India, and at that point I had only been here a year or a year and a half, but what I had seen in India was a model of success, a model of happiness, a model of life's purpose that was so much deeper and so much richer and so much more successful in terms of actually bringing what it is we want than what I had seen. And so when I was back in LA, I conducted a scientific study. And the study was that I spoke to about 10 different people I knew, all from different areas of work, but all of whom were at the very top. So for example, a CEO of a Fortune 500 billion company, a tenured professor at Stanford University, a well-known Hollywood actress, a singer whose songs were in the top 10 on the radio, a basketball player who played for the LA Lakers. All of these people who were at the height of their field. Surely if you're in business, you'd love to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. If you're an actor or an actress, being successful in Hollywood, this is the pinnacle. If you're in academia, being a tenured professor at Stanford, that's the height. But here's what was interesting. As I spoke to all of them, the purpose of my study, they were all people I knew very well, so they didn't know I was doing a study. They thought I had just called to chat and to see how they were. And I asked each of them one question in the midst of talking. Unko laga ki bas hum log chatting kar rahe, gap maar rahe, baat kar rahe, but actually in my mind there was one important question. And that question was, are you happy? And what I found was that every single one of them, everyone, had one thing between them and happiness. So either they said, well, I will be happy when I finally get the raise I want, or I finally get the part I want, or my kids finally grow up and move out of the house and go off to college, or my husband works a little less, or I could squeeze back into the clothes I wore last year, whatever it is. Or I will be happy when. So either I would be happy if, or I will be happy when. Not one of those people, not one of those people who the rest of the world is basically killing themselves to get to be that height, not one of them could say, yes, right here, right now, with what I have, I am happy. And this is the dilemma with our model of success. The Dalai Lama Ji said so beautifully, he said, if you have earned and just bought the most exquisite, beautiful penthouse suite of the tallest building in the city, if you're depressed, all you're going to do from that penthouse is look for the window out of which you can jump and end your life. So it's not about the penthouse, it's not about the money, it's not about the wealth. It's about that internal sense. And what that means is that we need to redefine our models of success, because the current models are driving us into a place where we don't actually have what we started wanting to be successful in order to get. So it's time to redefine our model of success. Not like this comic because we didn't succeed, but because we did succeed. We did succeed according to the societal standards of what success is, made money, had this career, have climbed this ladder, but I'm not actually content inside. At the end of the day, I'm not actually deeply content. When I sit down and I close my eyes, my mind is running around. As I drive down the road and I see people in nicer cars, I want that. When we go out, I see things, I want that. And this is the dilemma with the current model of success, is that it's all based on limited resources, you or me, competition, that in order to get ahead, I have to push you out of the way. When we speak about it, this is what people talk about as the rat race. And everybody says it, oh yeah, it's just the rat race. Now you think, हमने कब agree किया to become rats? It's amazing. Guard में चूहा होती हम इसको भगा देते हैं. If there's a rat in your house, the last thing you want is it's in. You do whatever you need to do to किसी तरह से उसको भगा दो. फिर ऑफिस में जाओ और rat बनने के लिए तैयार है. वो भी खुशी से, oh, it's just the rat race. Yeah. We're all in this rat race. What we won't tolerate in our homes has become the model of what to be in our workplaces. So we need to take back our model of success. What are we talking about? Because of course the dilemma with the current model, as I said, is A, it doesn't work, but B, where does it bring us? Stress. So I love this comic. I had actually a lot of fun going through a selection that I got of comics about success and stress, because of course the irony is really funny. We don't realize it. We don't realize what an irony it is until you see it. So before we're successful, we think, nothing is going my way, I can't succeed, can't make it. But then after we succeed, we're flat on our backs. The pressure, the stress. If you go to any of the big hospitals, the fancy, nice hospitals, and you go for the annual checkup, there's 4 or 5, sometimes 8 or 10 different packages they have of different checkups at different prices based on what sort of tests you need. More tests, most expensive, fewer tests, less expensive. What's the most expensive, comprehensive package of a checkup in a good hospital? Anybody? Anybody get those checkups? What's the most comprehensive, expensive, best package you can get at a hospital checkup? The corporate checkup. Right? Corporate checkup is the one of all of the tests, everything. Why? Because they're the ones under the most stress. And we know that stress is what leads to the vast majority of diseases we have. That which isn't caused by bad water or mosquitoes is either caused or exacerbated by stress. And so at the hospitals, their most comprehensive, expensive package of testing is the corporate one. There's no window washer checkup package. There's no mailroom clerk checkup package. It's the corporate checkup. Because I've reached so high, I now need to spend my annual income making sure that my heart is still functioning, making sure the blood is actually still pumping through my veins. And we've agreed to this together. We're going to become rats together. We're going to race each other together. We're going to be so stressed together that when we meet, how are you? I remember when I first came to Rishikesh, whoever you met, the poorest of the poor people, aap kaise hain? And everybody would say, oh, bas Bhagwan ki kripa. Ganga Ma ki kripa. Puja Swami Ji ki kripa. Sab kuch Bhagwan ki kripa. The women carrying tons of firewood on their heads to cook the evening meal. The sweepers, jinke paas kuch bhi nahi hai. Bas Bhagwan ki kripa. Now, whoever you ask, the most successful, the people who have everything, how are you? And it's always, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. It's become so socially acceptable. I'm so stressed out. Busy, 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 very, very stressed. Whether you are climbing the ladder, whether you're at the top of the ladder, everybody has agreed that stress is part of the package deal. It's like if I wake up in the morning and I take my temperature, and the thermometer says 102 degrees. I know it means I'm sick. It means I have some kind of an infection in my body. I need to go see a doctor. But how do I know that? How do I know that 102 is an infection? Because 98.6 is what's normal. And if I ask everyone around me who seem healthy, what's your temperature? They're all going to tell me 98.6. So I understand. Koi bimari hai. Doctor ke paas jana hai. But if, when I had 102 temperature, I asked everybody around me, Acha, what's your temperature? And everybody says 102. Well, then I'm going to think, Acha, chalo theek hai, ye normal hai. Now, the dilemma is, and really the tragic dilemma is, I still have an infection. Whether we all have 102 degrees and we all have an infection or not, if my temperature is 102, there is an infection in my body. But with everybody agreeing that their temperature is also 102, I'll think it's normal. I won't go to the doctor. I won't try to treat it. I won't take care of myself. I won't be worried. I won't change anything I do because I will say, well, to sabka ho raha hai aise. Ye to normal hai. This is what has happened with stress. It has become so normalized. Stress is the new normal. I remember when I first went back to America after being in India, and I went to visit my grandmother. And I had been in India maybe 3-4 months at the time. And we had this beautiful conversation, and after I left her, I was driving back to my parents' house, and my uncle called. He had just gotten off the phone with my grandmother. And he had asked her about me, how I was. I had gone Sida from the airport to go visit my grandmother. So when he had asked her how I was, my grandmother said, well, she looks okay. My uncle got worried, naturally. Well, what do you mean she looks okay? Okay, well, and what else? He says, but what's wrong? So my grandmother says, well, she looked okay, but... And my uncle said, but what? But what? Is she okay? And my grandmother says, well, she's just happy all the time. That's abnormal. If I had spent the hour or hour and a half that I was with my grandmother constantly looking at my watch saying, oh my God, I gotta go, I've been out for so long, I've got so much to do. Very normal. No problem. Ekdam theek hai wo. First class. But happy? Not stressed? That's the dilemma. That's what's unusual. So we've all come to this agreement of I'm stressed, we're all stressed, okay, it must be normal. But it isn't. And this is the dilemma. Because we're trained to believe that stress is this essential aspect of success. But it isn't. Not of the real, meaningful success. Because otherwise, at the end of the day, when we keep living the way that we're living with so much of an emphasis on this rat race, kuch bhi ho jaye, mujhe aage badhna hai. Kuch bhi ho jaye, I have to be ahead of this one, beat the competition, be number one. We get it sometimes. But what is the point of building a mansion if by the time you get home at night for dinner, sab so gaye, and you're sitting in that mansion alone? What is the benefit of being able to sit down to a feast if by the time you sit down to it, it's 11 o'clock at night and you end up with indigestion and heartburn because you're eating dinner so late at night, and woe be you're eating it alone? What is that success that is separating us from our family members? What is that success that keeps us from having time to meditate, time to pray, time to be with our loved ones? And the question then becomes, okay, so what to do? And the Bhagavad Gita gives us a beautiful answer to this. For me, coming from the West, being in India now almost 25 years, the Bhagavad Gita has become this answer for everything. Whatever it is you want to know, there is an answer. And what's beautiful about it is it's not only an answer for people who were born in India, it's not only an answer for people who are Hindu, it's not only an answer for people who worship God in the form of Krishna. It's universal. So many scholars from across the world of every race and religion, so many philosophers of every culture have pointed to the Gita. So in the Gita, we've got this beautiful teaching of not being attached to the fruits of our labor. Work. Work hard because it's our duty to serve. It's our duty to work. But don't be attached to what blossoms, what flowers. And especially, don't identify as the doer. So it's not all about me. नहीं तो everybody, oh, मैंने कर दिया. मैं नहीं होते तो कुछ नहीं होता. मैंने सब कर दिया. No. Don't identify as the doer, because then, when things don't go well, this is where there's the stress and the depression, because then it's not just about a product or a proposal or a project. It's about my identity. It's about who I am. If I identify as that doer, I am the one. I'm the success or I'm the failure. So don't identify. Realize that who we are is already whole and complete and divine. There's this beautiful story of a young boy, a baby, who right after he was born, there was a flood. Now, he was born as a prince. His parents were the king and the queen. But there was a flood as soon as he was born, and his parents put him in this basket to save him from the flood. But as the floodwaters rose, it carried the basket downriver, and the baby was lost. And he was found by very, very poor villagers who didn't know he was a prince. And he ended up growing up as a beggar, until one day his parents, who had been searching and searching and searching for him, found him. And they found this one identifying birthmark that they knew meant, this is their boy. So they scoop him up. He was maybe 8 or 9 at the time. They scoop him up from the streets of begging, bring him back to the palace. Now he's a prince. But one day, he's feeling a little bored, and he's feeling a little bit like, I'd like to go back to my old life of begging. So one day he decides, chalo, just 2-3 ghante ke liye, I'm going to go and play. And he puts back on his begging clothes, and he goes back onto the street, just for fun. Now, while he was there just for fun, it didn't matter to him whether anyone gave him money or didn't give him money, because he knew, मैं तो राजा का बेटा हूँ. End of the day, I'm going back to the palace. It doesn't matter कि अभी सड़क पे खड़े होके क्या मिलेगा, नहीं मिलेगा. The whole palace is mine. Everything is mine. So he was able to enjoy the playing of the beggar without that attachment to what comes. And this is that beautiful teaching of realize. Realize the truth of who you are. Realize that core, that wholeness, that fullness, that spiritual truth of who you are. Taki, something comes, wonderful. Success is there, fantastic. In a financial way. It's not there, no problem. Because you have that internal sense of success. There was a beautiful, beautiful saint who lived in Rishikesh, just across from Parmarth Niketan, named Puja Swami Dayananji Maharaj. He attained Mahasamadhi a few years ago. But he used to say, the only definition of success that matters at all, the only definition of success that matters at all, is how you react when the universe does not go according to how you want it. That's the only definition that matters. It's not about how much you make. It's not about do you have the corner office. It's not about your title. It's about when the universe, when the people around you don't dance according to your tune, when that which you want doesn't happen, or that which you don't want does happen, how do you respond? That is the definition of success. And that's the only thing we actually have any control over at all. Otherwise, we spend our lives attached to market shares, our competitors, how we're going to go number 1, number 2, number 10. And we have no control over that. The only thing we have control over is our own selves. And so rather than spending our time trying to control everything outside and then feeling stressed and miserable, change the definition of success to being. How do I respond to the inevitable times that the universe does not act how I think it should? Whether it's my loved ones at home, whether it's my employers, my employees, my colleagues, the market, my competitors. Rather than going up and down with the market, it goes up, I go up. It goes down, I go down. Rather than that, anchor yourself, ground yourself, and it's all in the mind. There's a beautiful teaching that says, Man eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. What it means is, it's all about the mind. The mind is the one that can bring you the total freedom or the most bondage. But it's up to us. And for most of us, we spend our lives looking outside. Where can I find that peace after we attain everything in the office? फिर सभी ऋषिकेश आते ही थोड़ा सा शांति मिलने के लिए, सब कुछ कमाने के बाद, सब कुछ प्राप्त करने के बाद गंगा किनारे आते ही शांति के लिए. Now that's great, you're all more than welcome. We have 1,000 rooms, we can house you all. But that shanti should not only be in Rishikesh. That shanti should be able to be here with you all the time. And what keeps it from us? We blame everything around us. This competitor, this employer, this employee, that in-law, this traffic, this market, this reviewer. We blame all of that. But actually that which steals our peace is not outside, it's our mind. Man eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. It's all in the mind. And so lastly, I want to conclude with a little demonstration. You've all been sitting here for a while. So I want to conclude with a little active participation, 2-minute demonstration. So I think right here is about the middle of the room where the cameraman is behind me. So those of you who are on this half of the room, raise your hand. Great. You are group 1. Those of you on this half of the room, raise your hand. Great. You are group 2. Now, group 2, your job is very simple. Your job is to chant Om. Okay? Now we're going to try it on the count of 3. And then when I put my hand up, it means stop. Okay? So we're going to have a trial run, just group 2. 1, 2, 3. Great. Group 1. Your job is to make as much noise as you possibly can. Now, when I say that, I really mean it. Okay? So I don't mean, I mean noise. Okay? You've got a table, you've got your hands, you've got your voice, you've got all kinds of ways to make noise. But group 1, your job is to make as much ruckus as you possibly can while still sitting in your chair. So again, when I raise my hand, it will mean stop. On the count of 3, go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now, on the count of 3, both groups are going to go together. You will chant Om, you will make ruckus. You're going to do it simultaneously. And if I raise my hand on your side, it means you become quiet. So if I raise my hand over here, you will be quiet. I raise it here, you will be quiet. Okay? Any questions? Great. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so group 2. Did you start chanting Om when these guys stopped making noise, or were you actually doing it from the beginning? You sure? Did anybody hear them? Why didn't we hear them? Too much ruckus. So this is my favorite model of what happens in our mind. We are dying for this experience of Om, whether we call it Om, whether we call it peace, whether we call it stillness, whatever word we use to describe it. We are all in search of this in our minds. And we're going out to every different type of event, program, course, this, that, everything, to find somehow this. The dilemma is that with this, even though it exists, you're not able to benefit. This is our core nature. This actually is what is there at the core of all of you right now. Whether you've ever done a course or not, it doesn't matter. Whether you've ever meditated or not, it doesn't matter. If you could become still and calm enough, this is the core of you. The answer becomes that we simply have to figure out how to quiet the ruckus. And the ruckus is there because of this mutually agreed upon destruction of stress. This mutually agreed upon rat race in which it's never enough. More. We're always in an experience of lack. And so our minds are never peaceful. And so this is where it's so important to come into a place, whatever your religion may be, whatever your spiritual inclination may be, it doesn't matter. But to have an awareness and an experience and a practice of simple meditation, of simple awareness, simple mindfulness, that allows us to touch that truth of who we are. Because otherwise, lastly, we pass this disease on to our children. We're coming up to exam time now. Every year, the number of student suicides grows and grows and grows. We've passed on this stress of you are your exam score, you are your number, you are your ranking, you are your achievement. We've passed on this tragic illness to our children. And so now, even in elementary school, primary school, everybody's stressed. The kids in our school, stressed. As parents, it is your responsibility to find the healing within you from that stress so that you don't pass it on to your children. I'll I'll conclude with my favorite story about this, which is there was a young woman home alone one day, and there was a knock at her door, and 3 men stood on her doorstep. And she said, come on in, come in, come in. You know, we have a beautiful tenet of Atiti Devo Bhava. The guest is God, of course, come in. They said, is your husband home? So she said, no, but that's okay, come on in. They said, no, no, we'll wait outside till your husband comes home. And by the way, my name is Love. And with me are success and wealth. But actually only one of us can come into your house. So when your husband comes home, ask him, which of us would he like to invite inside? Love or success or wealth? So the husband comes home, the kids come home, and the wife tells him what's happened. And the husband says, I think let us invite success in. Then our son is going to get the job that he wants and we'll have everything. We'll be very wealthy and successful. But the boy was smart. He said, Dad, that's great. Thank you for your blessing, but I only want that job so I can make a lot of money. So why not invite wealth in from the beginning? फिर ये success की चक्कर में नहीं जाना पड़ेगा, फिर we'll already be wealthy. So the father says, ah, yes, very good. The daughter says, Mom, Dad, Bhaiya, I think let us invite love inside. Because even if we don't have success, even if we don't have wealth, if we have love amongst us, that's the most important thing. So the mother and the father naturally thoda sa sharam aaye beti ke samne. Yes, 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 you are right. Love is the most important. So they go out and the woman says to the 3 men, okay, which of you is Love? And one of the men rises. And she says, you can enter our home. We have chosen you. So Love rises and he starts walking toward the home and he crosses the threshold. Aur unke piche piche, success and wealth are walking. So the woman says, I'm so sorry, but we've chosen Love, and as you said, only one can come. So success and wealth, you'll have to wait outside. Love says, if you had chosen success or wealth, he would have had to enter alone. But wherever love goes, success and wealth always follow. And so today, as we are gathered to talk about attributes of success, let us take that new definition of it and let us expand that definition and deepen the definition to really understanding that success is that which brings us what we really want, what we really need, which is the joy, the peace, the meaning in life, the love. And when we have that, automatically our lives will be filled with success. And I leave you with this, which was my favorite of the batch, because it requires a whole paradigm shift. It's not about a new definition on your time and then I have to get back to the same old, but a whole new way of looking at our lives and our success. And it's such an honor to be able to be here today and to be able to be part of honoring someone whose life has been such an extraordinary embodiment of all of those definitions of success. And we'll talk more about that in the evening program. And for now, thank you so much, and I'm so honored and delighted to be here with you.
Definitely, it's time for an awakening. Any soul-searching questions for Sadhviji?
Yeah, if there are
Anybody would like
questions,
to
I'm
ask
happy to
anything?
answer any questions anyone has. I didn't know how much time we have, but if there's time, I'm happy to take any questions. And as we always say in Rishikesh at Parmarth Niketan in our evening satsang, there's no such thing as a wrong question or a stupid question. If you have a question, chances are others have it as well. So if anyone has any questions, we are open to them. Yes?
There's a question I'm asking on behalf of Mr. Dilip Tavda.
मेरा question नहीं है किसी और का है.
Answer because I know Sadhviji since last so many years. I am associated with Parmarth Niketan and many a time I have been there. But Mr. Davda would like to ask, what made you come to India and be a part of Parmarth Niketan?
So it's been an extraordinary blessing. He asked what made me come here and become part of Parmarth Niketan. And I would love to take credit for it. I would love to say that sitting in California, sitting in Palo Alto, I had this vision and this awareness that the life I was living was very, very shallow, and that the priorities and the values we had were very shallow, and that I had prayed to God to send me a guru. I would love to say that, but it's not true. I didn't know. I was 25, and this is really the tragedy of this model of success, is we're fed it so fully and so completely, and everywhere we turn, everybody is so complicit in it, that it didn't even occur to us that maybe there's something else. And so I was what I now refer to as happy by default, meaning we're given an equation that says, here's what you need to be happy. You need a good education, you need a lot of money, you need this type of success, and we had that. I came to India actually just traveling with a backpack on a semester off of my PhD program. And when I got to Rishikesh, and it's of course a long story, they have copies actually of my new book outside, and the first chapter is that story, so the details are all there. But I got to Rishikesh, again, just by God's grace. I had opened a guidebook in Delhi, 500-page Lonely Planet guidebook, and said, Rishikesh. So get to Rishikesh. And I stand on the banks of Ganga. And I had the most extraordinary experience of my life. It was like a veil was pulled off not only of my eyes, but off of every way that I had of knowing. And in that moment, I experienced such an experience of the divine. Within me, outside of me, there was no difference between the inner and the outer. I mean, it was just an extraordinary experience. And I knew this is where I'm meant to be. This is where I'm supposed to stay. And then over the next several weeks and months, as I met people and I interacted with them, I realized there is a secret here. There is a happiness here in the eyes of the people who have nothing that no one I grew up with who had everything had. The people I was saying about, the women carrying the firewood, or the sweepers, or the children without shoes. A bliss, a joy that no one I knew who had everything had. And I realized there's a secret here in this land, there's a secret here in this culture about real happiness and real joy. And I need to stay, and I need to find it. And that is the culture. And that's why I've become so so deeply passionate about speaking about it, because what I've seen mere samne in the last 25 years is so much of India is now turning back toward the values of the West that I had come from. And as they do that, they're losing their hold actually on their peace, their joy, their meaning in life. And it's like we're moving backwards. And it's very recent, though, and so I'm full of hope that it's a reversible trend, because it's still the first generation. Once you get into second generation, third generation, it's much more difficult. And that's what we see abroad, for example, is so many Indians who had gone abroad 30, 40 years ago, now their children, full of the values of the West, don't have that connection. But here in India, it's only really been in the last 20, 25 years that this has been happening. And so I'm full of hope that we, in our culture, in our tradition, are going to be able to embrace a model of success that doesn't throw us into depression, that doesn't throw us into stress, that doesn't throw us into addiction, that doesn't throw us into a situation where our beds are made of gold, but neend lane ke liye goli khani padti. And if we can just stay grounded and rooted in the culture, in the teachings, in the heritage, it's there. There's no spiritual teaching I know of that says, thou shalt not succeed, thou shalt not attain. It doesn't say that. But what it says is, do not hook your identity, your peace, your joy, your life into that which comes in. The role, the identity, the bank account. Don't hook it into that. Realize you are not that. So it's not about the money or not the money. It's about what's in our heads. Dwarka was a city made of gold, ruled by Krishna, a paradise. Lanka, a city made of gold, ruled by Ravan, hell. The difference between heaven and hell is not the gold. The difference between that heaven and hell is who is ruling us, who's in charge of our minds. And that is what we need to go back to in the culture, in the heritage, within us. Because we have it. We just have to re-get it and make sure that we give that to our children. My Guru Puja Swamiji always says, don't worry so much about giving your children cars. They'll buy them on their own. Worry about giving them sanskars. And if we can go back to that focus on giving them the sanskaras, then we'll give them the real wealth and the real success.
Thank you very much.
When earlier days, we used to always tell our children to study hard, work hard, so that they could have a good future and all that stuff.
Yes.
But now it is that the children are so much under performance pressure. So, maybe that they want to be more successful than their parents. They feel, so that is, one way, many a times now the time has come when children want to compete not with their friends or not with markets or not with others, but their own parents. In such situations, how do you think, like parents like us should cope up with them?
Great. So remember that children are the values they have, the sanskaras they have. Kahan se aate hain? तो कुछ definitely culture से आते हैं. But before they are influenced by the culture, before they're influenced by their friends at school, they're influenced in the house. So this idea of they want to go higher and farther than their parents, where did that come from? Well, most of it comes from what they hear as they're growing up at home. If I come home from work and I say to my spouse, oh, it was a great day, we beat the competition out of the water, we stomped on them, we became the best, we became the top, we made the most money, great day. What have my children learned? What is the best model? Lots of money, come out ahead, push others out of the water. Sometimes it's more subtle. We go to a party, a marriage, we're coming back in the car, mom and dad are talking. Mom is saying, इतना सुंदर solitaire वो पहन रही थी, वो my God, आप मेरे लिए कभी ऐसे नहीं खरीद के देते हैं, मुझको बहुत शर्म आता है, मेरा ब्रेसलेट बहुत छोटी है, मेरा solitaire बहुत छोटी है, उनका इतना बड़ा बड़ा सुंदर. Then they fight, yes, of course, but it goes from a discussion on a solitaire to a discussion about a sari to a discussion about whose house, a discussion about their car. Did you see the car they got in? Then we say, chalo, main dikha dunga unko. I'll have next time, wait till he sees my car. Chalo, next time you will have a bigger solitaire than she has. Main la ke dunga. But what are the children learning as they hear this conversation in the car? That what matters in life is not even so much what you have, but how it compares to others. Because when we left from the house tonight, Mom was very happy with her sari and solitaire. We were very happy with the car. But coming back, we are not happy because we have now compared ourselves to others. And so the sanskara that they've gotten is, it's not about what you have, it's about the fact that you should have more and better than others. So as parents, what is most important is to help your children understand that success that they should have. Yes, study, of course, work hard, of course. Because whatever we do, we need to do it sincerely. But let that be your model for success. Did they study sincerely? Because the messages we give them, and we mean well, we try hard, but they're very, very damaging messages. A child comes home with an A on an exam. What do? Oh, come. Chalo, beto go. Right? Have some cookies, have some cake. Everybody's proud, everybody's happy. Child comes home with a fail. What's the reaction in the house? Everybody's upset. Now what they learn is, my value as a human being, my worthiness of love is based on what grade I bring home. Now, of course, as parents, we say, no, wo to mera matlab nahi hai. I just want to encourage them. But what we end up doing is giving them this teaching that you are your marks. You are your grades. You are how you achieve. And this is why, as parents, we need to make our model different. They need to do whatever they do with sincerity. They need to take it seriously. They need to do the very best they can. But not everyone is going to be great at everything. Somebody has to come last in the class. Why should it be someone else's child instead of yours? Let our benchmark be sincerity. And lastly, let our children understand that our love of them has nothing to do with the grades they bring home, the marks they bring home. That those grades and those marks are simply the stepping stones of whatever future they are going to create for themselves. But our love for them is there, whether they fail out of school or whether they are the top person in the class. And if we can really make them understand that, we get scared, we think, well, chalo to fir fail ho jayenge, they'll become lazy, but they won't. They won't. Love never made anybody lazy. Love gives people courage. It fills them with courage and it fills them with excitement. It fills them with faith in themselves because they know my dad loves me, my mom loves me. That's what gives them the faith. And then they can go in and they can take the exams and do the work without stress. Because of course, the more stressed they are, the more likely they are to fail. So give them this new model. And then they will be fantastically successful on every level.
Thank you very much. I request Medaji to please come on stage and felicitate Pujya Sadhviji with a little token of our appreciation.